Tonight we're going in depth on the State Board of Education. Governor Kevin Stitt's nearly clean sweep of the entire State Board of Education was approved today by the state Senate. It's a move the governor says will get the board less focused on national politics and more on reading and math. However, supporters of State Superintendent Ryan Walters say the move undercuts Walters' ability to run the agency the way he sees fit. After 4 votes back,
So I declare the executive nomination to have been confirmed.
to back,
So I declare the executive nomination to have been confirmed.
to back,
Declare the executive nomination to have been confirmed. Clerk will read the next nomination.
to back.
So I declare the executive nomination to have been confirmed.
Governor Kevin Stitt's plan to realign the State Board of Education away from State Superintendent Ryan Walters' politically charged proposals and focus more on reading and math received bipartisan approval by a majority of the state Senate Wednesday. All 4 of the governor's new state school board members were approved to serve long term.
I thought that was an unforced error by elected official that runs that department, and it was just creating turmoil in my state that was unnecessary.
The relationship between Stitt and Walters has publicly soured recently, and things came to a head when Walters proposed immigration information be collected by anyone trying to enroll their child in an Oklahoma public school.
Our rule around illegal immigration accounting is simply that. It is to account for how many students of illegal immigrants are in our schools.
While many of the details behind the end of what was a long-standing political bromance remains behind closed doors, it was the immigration proposal where Stitt publicly drew the line and began to make changes to the board meant to act as a check on the superintendent, a board that is also totally controlled by the governor.
That's where I stepped in. I said, listen, that's not what President Trump's talking about. President Trump's talking about enforcing the border, and he's talking about getting the criminal element out of our country. And I've never heard him talk about picking on kids.
While they were awaiting confirmation, 3 of the new board members had already started to push back on Walters on many fronts. A stark change from the previous board, which records show never voted against and barely even questioned the superintendent or anything he put on the agenda since he took office in 2023.
I disagree with you. I think they play a significant role.
Are they voting on it?
That is up to their discretion.
The answer is no, they're not.
So your argument here that you're putting forth today is the legislature isn't doing their job? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
My point has been from day one, the process is not a good process.
Walters has openly said Stitt is stabbing President Donald Trump in the back and ignoring the results of the 2024 election by making these changes to his board and not allowing him to combat illegal immigration in Oklahoma schools. The proposal itself to collect immigration information at enrollment is officially dead at the Capitol.
So in this circumstance, the language in this bill provides no safeguards for the data. It conflicts state law with federal law. So why are we going to violate federal law by passing a state law if you believe we should follow the law?
First of all, this is an aggregate count. We're not collecting names, we're collecting numbers. So we're not breaking any laws.
That was just some of the debate on the State House floor last week, where a last-minute attempt to give permission to the State Department of Education the ability to collect student immigration information was considered. Lawmakers in both parties had concerns that the state of Alabama had already tried to do this a while back, and after an expensive legal battle, it was determined Alabama broke the law in trying to collect this type of information. Democrats and Republicans also say the Oklahoma Department of Education was trying to write new laws for itself instead of enforcing laws that are already on the books. We're also keeping our eyes on the fallout from the approval of the new state social studies standards. State lawmakers said the financial problems at the State Department of Mental Health, along with crafting the state's budget, did not leave them enough time to vote on the social studies standards.
I do not see an appetite in the legislature to do anything with these standards.
The new State Board of Education members wanted to reconsider their February vote on the standards that add in more lessons on the life of Jesus Christ and ask students to study claims the 2020 presidential election may have been illegitimate. Board members accused Walters of last-minute changes they did not have time to familiarize themselves with before they actually took that vote.
That was a misled, so I feel deceived on that, because here we are still talking about the standards, and that time frame could have come and gone, and we could have reviewed them. And I think this whole issue would have gone by if we would have just slowed the process and let us understand what was in there.
And here's how and why we changed it. So can you produce those?
I mean, first of all, it's completely irrelevant part of the conversation.
I don't think it is.
You're looking at the individual that made the decision on what's in the standards. I'm right here.
State Superintendent Ryan Walters is the only person who can decide what is and is not on the board's agenda, and he has refused to put a revote on the agenda, despite some board members openly saying they want to reconsider the matter. Speaking of those social studies standards, tomorrow the controversial new standards go before a judge in Oklahoma City. A lawsuit was filed by parents, grandparents, and teachers to stop them, saying the way they were approved and what's in them violates the law.
They want their children, their grandchildren, and their pupils to be educated in a way that's consistent with the law. And in our view, and again, we're going to be in court with this, the law was not followed.
Former Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter, who you saw there, represents parents, grandparents, and teachers who are suing to stop the standards. Tomorrow's court hearing will determine two things: whether there is enough evidence for the case to move forward, and if a lawsuit should move forward, will those standards be on hold, possibly into the next school year, until the case has a resolution one way or the other. The way the social studies standards were approved remain a point of contention between the new board members and State Superintendent Ryan Walters.
I don't see it corrected in my copy, so
I don't think it's corrected on mine either.
I'm not challenging you. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm looking at the right form. Ms. LePack, would you agree that it's not?
Yeah, it looks the same to
'Cause
me.
I think I've got a highlight on mine. So
Yeah.
I think we need to take them again.
That was last week's board meeting. For the second month in a row, the new State Board of Education members refused to approve the minutes for the February Board of Education meeting. The minutes are the official account of what took place during that meeting, which happened to be when the new social study standards were approved. Board members say the minutes that have been up for approval do not accurately reflect what happened when the vote to send those standards to the legislature took place, and they fear the minutes that do not accurately reflect what happened that day could impact the lawsuit over the standards and give the court wrong information. And on that lawsuit note, we will let you know what happens in court tomorrow right here on Fox 23 News at 6:30.